There will be a question and answer section towards the end, but I'll try and pause at points along the presentation. So this is the rough agenda that we'd like to go through today. So we have partnered today with Routeco, who are our premier partner in the UK. We've been working with them now for over 20 years, and they have a very strong relationship with Prosoft technology. So Steve Jackson, my co-host, will be presenting that part of the presentation. I'll then be going through who Prosoft technology are, what are our advantages, what is automation materials handling, why customers use it, some of the challenges for an industrial wireless application, go through a few of the success stories, mention briefly about some safety considerations, go over some design examples, and then also end with some limitations of the wireless system and some advice how to overcome those wireless limitations. So what I'd like to do now is hand you over to my co-host, Steve Jackson.
Good morning. Who are Routeco? We are a company who've been in existence celebrating 40 years this year. Started in 1978. We've successfully established ourselves as one of the UK's leading distributors of industrial automation and control products. We have over 250 personnel, and we've partnered with the best products from the leading manufacturers, the best in brand. We have a broad spectrum of industries as our customer base, from pharmaceuticals, food processing, metals, and automotive. And we, as Miles said, we've partnered with Prosoft for over 20 years now, a valued partner, providing an essential part of the solution. We've got a national chain of offices covering the UK, Austria, and the Netherlands. We offer solutions for OEMs, machine builders, bringing value to the OEM business. We also have a range of manufacturing solutions, such as training services, engineering services, safety services, online and telephone support. This is in addition to value-added services such as assemblies for repeat small panels, e-business solutions, technical support and training. Routeco have got teams of product support specialists around the country who are ready to speak to you about today's material handling seminar. We have expertise with Prosoft, we've lots of experience, and we're ready for your call. So, without ado, let's pass you back to Miles, who's covered part of today's product and application content. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve. So now I'm going to quickly talk about who Prosoft technology are. Prosoft technology are industrial communication solution providers. Basically, we help you to connect to, optimize, modernize, and migrate legacy applications to modern Ethernet-based solutions. We can help you to connect all those legacy systems to your existing PLC. And we have the application expertise to back that up. We are very focused in solving our customers' challenges through our range of solutions, and customers trust Prosoft to help them to deliver what we say. Our products themselves have 3-year warranty with full technical support, and we partner with some of the major automation providers such as Rock Automation and also Schneider Electric to help deliver those solutions to you. We also partner with our distribution partnerships such as Routeco, and also we partner with you, the customer. We help to make your business more successful. We're a global company with our headquarters based in California and with offices all around the world. The headquarters for headquarters for Europe is based in Toulouse in France, where we have all the technical support teams available. So as I said before, the technical support is included with 3 years warranty. We also have regional sales managers all around the country with various different offices, and also we partner up with over 400 partners worldwide to ensure that you have the best level of service possible. One of our taglines is where automation connects. Basically, we can connect your legacy networks such as Prosoft DP, DH405, DF1, DH+, to your modern Ethernet-based protocols, so Ethernet IP, Modbus, TCP/IP. We have also in-chassis cards for Rock Automation, but also for Schneider Electric. And we also have standalone gateways to go between those different protocols as well. And for those people, we have wireless technologies as well through our 82.11 ABG and N radios, but also through our secure remote access solutions as well. This is one of 4 presentations that we've been handling over the last 12 months. The integrated flow computing will begin next year, but we've already done webinars on modernization, remote connectivity. So if you've missed those but want to learn more, please contact Prosoft and we'll be able to send you a link where you can actually review the information. So what I'd like to do now is to talk about automated materials handling and the wireless solutions involved in that. So what type of solutions are involved in automated materials handling? Well, the obvious one is AGVs, or automated guided vehicles, where they take the heavy loads around the factory as an alternative to forklift trucks. Then we have the electrified monorail systems and skillet conveyors, which are mainly used in automotive manufacturing, but can be used anywhere to basically carry the car or the heavy load around the factory so people can work on it as it's rotating around. Then there's also the warehousing solutions, which we can use, which is the automated storage and retrieval systems, sometimes called rack stackers, and also the crane systems. So why do customers use automated materials handling? Well, the first one is obviously to reduce labor costs. In an ever-increasing labor market, reducing labor costs is a quick way to reduce your expenditure. Also, a lot of accidents are caused by forklift trucks as they travel around the factory. So to improve worker safety, a lot of people are now integrating AGVs into all sorts of different markets. So not only in automotive, for example, but also in places like healthcare and things like that. Also, we can improve operational efficiency by eliminating faults due to human error, and helps manufacturers to achieve higher quality, reliability, and efficiency through an automated materials handling solution. Also, it also provides access to hostile environments, so cold storage, clean rooms, where there may be an environmental issue. Also, by making it automated, it kind of removes or replaces that kind of human error again, where they could pick the wrong parts, etc., and also damage the products in transit. However, in industry, there's lots of RF noise, which can impact on your wireless network. Also, constantly moving parts, which can cause reflections, and obstacles to the wireless system as well. You're working in a very enclosed space with unusual work paths, and a commercial radio, for example, may not work correctly because it may cause you to have timeout, because commercial wireless systems tend to be very good for sort of printing or Netflix, for example, where you don't really care if it's buffering. But if you have a wireless problem and it then causes a network controlled timeout. Also, the environment, you have to look at the environment as well when you're looking at a wireless solution. And of course, you've got to maintain it. And your maintenance people may not be wireless experts. So you need to have partnership with a company that can help you to get the best out of your wireless system. Also, you may be building a plant in a remote location or a country where you need to have the local certifications in place to have that reliable communication for I/O and safety equipment. There are challenges with the robust network. Advanced machines need a highly reliable, high-speed Ethernet-based communications, so they need to have the same for the wireless communications. And each end user environment is different. We always look at these things separately, just so we're not doing that kind of cookie cutter type application where you think it's going to work in one place or work in the next place. But you may have a robot and that's causing a lot of electromagnetic interference. And also, enterprise products do fail to meet the specific needs of industrial applications. As I mentioned earlier, they're mainly based for infrastructure type communications, printers, emails, that sort of thing. But if you need to have it for industrial I/O type communications, then they tend to fail. Also, the end user, OEM, system integrators don't necessarily have the time to become wireless experts, whereas they need to have a solution that they can use straight away with a very short sort of learning curve involved. So our solutions have several advantages, and I'll go through some of them now. Our solution helps you to maximize system reliability. So a lot of the systems are roaming between access points as it moves around the plant. And our solution can help you with that by fast roaming. We call it ultra fast roaming because it will actually do it within 10 milliseconds, which is good for critical I/O traffic. Also, if you're going through a very convoluted pathway on the production line, you can ask each of the radios to be a client repeater. So it can actually repeat the signal online. So it can actually act as an access point. So you can keep the signal as reliable as possible and to keep every system running, even if the access point fails. Also, we help you to minimize project risk. We have the application expertise. We have the experience. We've been doing this now for over 10 years, and we have the application engineers to work with the OEM, the integrators, the end users to help plan out their wireless system with our free download tools, but also we can provide you with the services as well. So if you wanted to, we could have a site survey done on the site to actually use our tools to investigate where your potential problems could be as well. Also, the controls engineer can have the diagnostics directly in their HMI screens. We have Ethernet IP objects for Rockwell and Schneider. We have modbus TCP agents for Schneider. We have add-on instructions for Rockwell Automation, where you can actually build all these direct diagnostics directly into your control system, so you can view it and operate it, which is what this customer did with their operating stations. They wanted to see the Prosoft network devices in the field. They wanted to be able to see the signal strengths, the packets being counted, etc., so they could actually monitor and diagnose any issues before they became a problem. Quick question coming through about the RX2 radio configuration. There's a web interface, but is there possibility to do offline configuration? And is there a separate configuration software? The software that we have is called the IH browser. And what that does, it takes the diagnostic information from the radios and presents it to you as well. That is then the link into the web page for the actual radio itself. So the only way to configure the radios as it stands at the moment is to use the web page of the radios. However, we do have SNMP agents and MIB files that can actually use your IT software to make changes to the radios without going through that web page. But any changes that you do make would probably be make the radio to reboot as you save the changes. Okay, moving on. The other advantages are that we can handle difficult pathways and noisy environments by using various sort of tools. We've got a radiating cable solution, which is a long, flexible RF cable with slots cut in the copper jacket, which allows the radio signal to radiate from it or leak from it. So sometimes it's called radiating cable, sometimes it's called leaky feeder cable, but it all does the same job. Basically, that then reduces the dead spots and poor connections because the radio signal emanates through it along the entire length of the cable itself. And we've got lots of applications using that, which I'll go through shortly. We're also able to withstand factory conditions. Now, the picture up here on the right-hand side here basically is an existing customer's site where they've used an off-the-shelf radio from TP-Link, and it's basically causing them dropouts and loss in communication because it's not mounted correctly. It's just in the cabinet. The power supply is incorrect, and it's basically needs to have be in an air-conditioned unit. However, our products are industrial rated products. They're extended operating temperature of -40 to +70 degrees. The hazardous location certified. They're also industrial power options, either through the 10 to 24 volt DC or through power over Ethernet, which has advantages. So if you wanted to reduce the losses from the antenna to the radio, you can actually move the radio closer to the antenna and run the power over Ethernet cable back to the main switch. It's in-rail mountable, so you're not in a situation where it could fall out. Also, it's shock and vibration tested. So for those mobile devices where it's going around the factory, there is going to be vibration from the actual machine that goes around. Also, we have all the local country approvals and certifications required for you. I'll just check the chat to see if there's anything else coming through. We have tested RLX2 radios, and we noticed that one access point is configured as a master. Does this master take part in roaming process, or do the clients roam independently? Basically, it's all part of a bigger system. I'll come to the details of it later on, but the radios themselves continuously check the best signal to the access points. So it's mainly on the client side to the master, but it's continuously checking for the signal strength, whereas other competitor solutions may use a threshold limit, for example. If it gets below that, then it would roam. But ours is continuously searching for the best one, and then it would roam to the latest client. Okay, this is one of the first success stories I'm going to talk to you today about. We had an car manufacturer that needed to reconfigure several plants to manufacture new models. So every time they brought a new car out, they had to change it slightly. And these lines require high reliable I/O communication between the moving AGV and the skillet to the master control system. But the automotive plant themselves present many issues for wireless applications, including interference with surrounding networks, reflections from the metal parts themselves, moving around the parts, mobile obstacles, unusual paths of the vehicles, etc. So the AGV OEM worked with Prosoft field application engineers to analyze their requirements and propose a wireless network to meet their application needs. Now, our application engineer recommended a radiating cable solution and our fast roaming wireless LAN, wireless access points. And then the OEM created a proof of concept system at the facility to actually demonstrate it to the customer. So the customer selected our RLX2 IHNF radios because they were for the ultra fast roaming capability. And they also selected the radiating cable because it had several advantages. One of those being consistent signal strength along the carts throughout the pathway as it went. and the leaker feeder followed the track of the conveyors. So it's nice and easy to set up as well. And we had the experience, pre-sale and post-sale support was a key value for that OEM. This is an automated storage retrieval system or a rack stacker application. This is for a steel manufacturer in the UK who needed to put heavy duty steel coils onto a shelf. Now the shelves themselves were very narrow and they were concerned about reflections from the coils and the shelving units, which would cause them issues in the past. So they worked with Prosoft and Routeco to upgrade their D8 Plus system to a modern control logic system, introduced an Ethernet IP network, and also used our radios with a Radiating Cable solution, which was mounted along the line of the rail that carried the AGV, the automatic storage retrieval system backwards and forward, picking up the heavy coil and putting them onto the shelves. Also, they were concerned about cable breakages and being able to detect that, because they've had an issue where one of the systems dropped the coil onto the rail and broke it. So with our radios, you can actually detect a break in a Radiating Cable solution. So these solutions can be used in any sort of environment. So not only in automotive or heavy use, but also in healthcare and also in amusement rides, which is what this OEM did. They had a problem to replace the slip ring, which required a lot of maintenance. So, and they also wanted to build a system which would allow CIP Safety communication through it as well. So we proposed a solution which involved our radios with Radiating Cable, so they could improve their data transfer, increase their reliability, and also have a secure and stable communication. So what they did was they mounted the Radiating Cable, which is this black cable here, along the framework of the ride, and then had the radio, the antenna of the radio looking at the cable, so it could go backwards and forwards, making people feel ill throughout this pathway. It can also be used on packaging machines. So anything that's moving, rotating, any slip ring replacement, you can use our radios with it as well. So this customer was an OEM who had machines for sleeving applications. They had a need to replace the slip ring communication to a more reliable, robust one. And they used our radios with Radiating Cable with 2 rounding tables. And one master radio was able to receive data from 2 rounding tables at the same time, thanks to the installation of 2 Radiating Cables and repeaters. Here's a close-up of the radios, etc. So they benefited from this by having ease of operation and also maintenance. They had all the diagnostics from the radios. They improved the data transfer with speed time, signal strength, etc. with the Ethernet IP communication as well. And they lowered their maintenance costs because they weren't having to continuously replace slip rings. This is an example of a crane application at a terminal at the dockyard. Basically, the customer needed to increase their operational efficiency, enhance the industrial safety, so there was a safety element to it, but then also had to improve the working environment for the crane operators themselves. Now, these crane operators could be at the top of the crane for 12-hour shift, if not longer, which would mean it would be very uncomfortable with things like toilet breaks, and they wouldn't be able to take those. So I'll let you use your imagination what kind of things they used to have to do in the crane. So one of the things was to move the operators out of the crane itself. So they did have a problem though. They had been using a competitive wireless product. The support from that competitor was poor, and they needed to do the work before the end of the year. So the customer was looking for an alternative product. So our sales team in China set up a proof of concept test with the customer to prove that our solution was viable for it. And it worked out that we could replace all 90+ competitive wireless access points with our Prosoft RLX2 IHNF radios. We had 2 parallel wireless network working to do redundancy, and our fast roaming ensured seamless connectivity during the roams between the access points as the crane went back and forward along the dockyard. They're able to do video streaming as well, so they were able to move the operator out of the crane into a nice air-conditioned office here, so they were more comfortable. And it meant that the radiating cable strip could be reused with only minor adjustments as well. Okay, what I'd like to talk about now is some of the safety considerations. Now, I already mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that safety is one of the big reasons to move to automated materials handling. So how can we do that? Well, the reason we're doing it obviously is for worker safety. The workers are killed by forklift truck accidents, by moving vehicles, etc. So, and 6 of those are in the sort of manufacturing sector. So, and a #1 killer in the UK was being struck by a moving vehicle, a forklift truck, etc. that went round. Now, it's not exclusively linked to AGVs, but evidence in the UK suggests that deaths in series can be is on the increase. So we need to start thinking about how we can put some additional safety into the AGV. So in the US, a lot of reports have shown that even though the AGV had a discrete safety on it, like a laser bumper, for example, this failed to detect the person in time and crushed them, unfortunately. The AGV does weigh a lot. And an emergency stop system, wirelessly linked on the side, may have saved that person's life. So if you add emergency stop systems to your AGV network, then you may be able to avert any kind of serious accidents. And you can do that wirelessly. Now, this example here is obviously using guard logics, but there are other manufacturers, Siemens, Schneider, etc., who do safety over Ethernet. If you do it over Ethernet, then you can do it over wireless, because the safety PLC has no idea of that a wireless device is connected to it. All it knows is it has a heartbeat. I've provided a good link to continue the watchdog, etc., so it didn't time out and fail to save. And you can do those things over wireless. Question coming in: can you roam with safety over wireless? Yes, you can. It depends on the timeout that you have for your watchdog, etc. I'll come to that in a bit more detail towards the end when we're talking about the sort of things to look out for, limitations. In this example, I'll be talking about a crane example, but this could be for anything really. So we need to think about the sort of possible installations for it. So this could be used in aluminium smelting, steel production, materials handling, vehicle production. But basically the crane systems are all very similar. So you'd have a PLC with a HMI screen, and on the cranes itself you have a PLC with drives and encoders, etc. And you can connect those up together wirelessly to a central SCADA system for the control network and also the visualization. But one of the things you need to do is to think about the controller messaging. What the IO messaging is going to be. If you're using IO, it's going to be implicit. If you're using explicit, it's for machine to machine. So whereas IO is used frequently to transfer tags between PLCs and HMIs. So you need to understand that the messaging has a big impact on the project success. And also you can do safety as well. So safety is integral in any part of a crane application. You know, you've got light curtains there, limiting access to areas where the load enters. And also, you can use guard I/O, light curtains, and Ethernet IP to guard logics, and also a HMI system in the safer environment in the control room. So we need to think about the safety network as well. So we think about the traffic between the HMI screen to the PLC, but then also the traffic for the safe area as well. So if we look at the traffic, there would be a central PLC with 2 remote PLCs and a HMI screen with 1 Ethernet connection to each. So 2 packets per connection per RPI. Now, with the allowable rates of the radio, we're talking now about the 802.11n radios because they've replaced more of the 8G radios. So we're talking about 4,000 packets per second maximum. So we talk about the number of Ethernet IP packets. With those 3 PLCs, we're talking 6. Then with an RPI rate of 20 milliseconds and a packet rate per connection, it's 50 packets per second. You can see how we're within the rates allowed for the system. But we don't want to overload the wireless network either. So we want to make sure that the wireless system is resilient and reliable. So you can either pick 2.4 gigahertz. Now that has 3 non-overlapping channels, channels 1, 6, and 11. So those are the ones to use. If you use any other, then it's overlapped with other frequencies, which may cause you then interference. However, in the 5 gigahertz band, you've got more frequencies to choose from. Now, depending on your location that the radio is going around the world, you may have more or less frequencies to use for. And also, if you're using the radio system outdoors, on an outdoor crane, for example, then you have to use the DFS bands with 5 gigahertz frequencies. Now, DFS basically allows you to detect radar transmissions. And if a radar transmission is detected, then basically it powers down the radio and chooses a different frequency before it comes back up again. So it could mean a drop in communication of maybe a minute, if not longer. So you need to be aware of that sort of thing as well. Also, our radios are able to fast roam between access points, which is less than 10 milliseconds. And also, we're able to bridge between multiple Ethernet devices on the machines and carriers. So each of the AGV may have a controller, I/O, HMI screen, PLC, and that can be transmitted wirelessly. And we can do that without the need for a second wireless controller required. So it's all built into the radio. One part number will do client and repeater. So it keeps your spares low as well. With the fast roam, we move from one access point to another. Now, in a competitive solution, it may be based on a threshold-based search. So as the signal declines underneath a threshold, then it will start the search to find out a replacement for it. And that then can take time. Whereas with the Prosoft radios, we have a continuous search for the best access point to connect to. So it's doing it continuously, so not changing threshold, but without actually checking for it all the time. Also, this is to illustrate how it's physically connected to a network if you want to do fast roaming for AGVs. So for example, you have to have a wired Ethernet network back to the main controller to then provide the backbone, I suppose, for the Ethernet so that the access point can roam between the different access points as it moves along. So the AGV can move along, get to the pathway. Which is what they did in this application. This is a Skillet application where the customer required reliable I/O communications between the skillets and the control system to prevent downtime. But they had issues where, again, reflections from metallic environments, unusual paths of moving objects. So we succeeded by putting in our ultra-fast roaming hotspots, and also we used the radiating cable underneath the skillet to have the clear line of sight between the radios to the cable itself, which eliminated a lot of the issues of an over-the-air solution, and it was successful that the operators couldn't detect when it's actually roaming itself. The cable itself was over 100, well, split to two, over 180 meters long along the line of the production area, and mounted underneath the floor of the skillet line. It had multiple skillets going across the plant and into a power down zone, and then back again. So they split the cable into two segments, and the segments itself totaled 180 meters, with a very reliable communication throughout. Okay, any questions so far? Yes, we have one here. I have a radiating cable installation guide. Do you have a design guide for the radiating cable? Yes, we do. It's available online, or you can speak with your local Prosoft regional sales manager or your local field application engineer, and they'll be able to talk through it as well. So we have one online. Along with online, we have our software, which we can use to help you, or you can download it yourself and help yourself to design the network itself. So it's very simple to use with drag and drop Windows-based user interface. And you can also use wizard guided defaults, so you can actually choose the radio which you wish to have. So using the N radio here, you can choose the frequency you want to use. It then has a bill of materials that's built into it as a default settings. And you just simply drag them into the network itself, and then link them together by doing a drop and link, putting in the distance between the antennas, and then you can actually modify it. So if the link wasn't strong enough, you can then modify the actual bill of materials to generate a better link. So you can review your choices. And this software will tell you the Fresnel zone, which then tells you how high to mount the antenna above any kind of obstacle. So it makes your job easier, not only in designing it, but also when it comes to installing it. You know how high to mount them above any kind of obstacle as well. It also generates a material list which you can take to your partner. In the UK's case, it could be Routeco or Vexo in Denmark. For example, you can take to your partner to get the prices and then generate the order the system accordingly. There are limitations to wireless systems. Now, obviously, we can't compete with wired solutions in terms of performances. So if there is an opportunity to put a wired connection in there, put one in there. But for mobile applications, there's no alternative but to use wireless. Now we can help you with that as well. Also with motion as well. Now CIP motion can work, but it has to have a slower refresh time because of the additional latency that's built into the radios as well. And also time synchronization as well. The CIP sync must be filtered by the radios not to overload the network. Now we do have PTP filters, etc., built into those, which can help you with that as well. Also, when you're doing a wireless safety application, you need to consider the connection reaction time limit. Safety applications are all about time. In the Rockwell manual, there's a nice sort of quick start side of it, which basically goes through all of this. But basically, you need to make sure that the typically it's 4 times your RPI time, which can be greater or equal to about 60 milliseconds. Your RPI time, if that's 50 milliseconds, which means your reaction time, this is the worst case, no fault, is about 200 milliseconds. So you need to work with your safety PLC provider to make sure that the network will do what's required for the safety network. Other things to consider is unicast connections. Adjust the cycle times for the safety tags. Don't necessarily use the default times involved. And then adjust the RPI times to suit the application itself. And also try to limit the number of connections on the wireless network to optimize the safety network itself. And then also, we do suggest that you implement a way to get the logs and communication diagnostics into the HMI screens or the PLC, so you can act on them sooner. So this is me telling you to use the Ethernet IP agents, the Modbus agents we've got, and also the add-on instructions, or even the OPC server to get that diagnostics into your PLC. We also advise you looking at the environment, to look at each application separately, and also use the right antenna for each type of application. Come to us, talk to our field application engineers, our support team, to help you to design the system, to limit your interferences with other systems as well. So look at what else is on the network, and then choose a channel which is free or has less connections to it as well. Also, Radiating Cable can help to bypass the environment challenges. And the wireless environment can change over time as well. And you do need to monitor it by using the diagnostics tools we provide with the radios. Our add-on instructions, our OPC server, our Modbus agents, our Ethernet IP agents, which you can build into your Rockwell, your Schneider, even your little Microwave 100 system. And also use our tools to calculate your system needs. There are other tools there as well from your PLC manufacturers, which helps to calculate your RPI times, etc. And then also do a site survey at the installation location. It will save you a lot of time later on when you're actually close to production if you do all the hard work first. Okay, any questions? What distances can you go with the antenna? Basically, that depends on the application. You need to use our design tool to actually calculate the signal strength you can go. So with a nice parabolic, for example, you can go, the distance can go kilometers long. But typically in this sort of indoor application, you're talking 500 meters. So that's a very loaded question. You can basically go any kind of distance that you require. Any other questions? Okay. I'll thank you for your time today. Thank you very much for attending this presentation. If you do have any other questions outside, please feel free to get in touch with me. There's my details on the screen now. And also Steve, to talk about how Routeco can help you with your services as well. So if you need to have anything that would help you with your wiring of the cabinet, for example, please get in touch with Routeco for that. This presentation has been recorded. We will make it available shortly for you to download, etc. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.